Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. Life is going to be full of changes. There's going to be things going on. I'm sure you've experienced some thus far. Get ready, there's more coming. And with that, there is this thing called transition. Sometimes there's major changes, whether you opted for them or not. And now you have to pivot in a certain direction and transition into another situation. Maybe it's another job. Maybe it's a relationship, transitioning out of one into maybe being single or into another one at some point. It's challenging because many of us are wired to stay in the comfortable and fear the change. How do we make those transitions? We're going to find out. She offers personal and professional coaching and counseling. She has been doing this for decades for many, many people. And this is all part of what she offers. Dr. Joanne White is back with us. How are you today?
Great. Thanks for having me, Steve. How are you doing?
Very well. I feel like I'm always in a state of transition in the last number of years. And it might not be just because of life. It may be, I realized that's the way life is. Is that making sense?
Yes, because life has tons of transitions. Actually, it's about change. To transition is kind of what we're going through on an internal basis. And even if there's positive change like marriage and a new baby and new home, even those changes, those transitions that we go through can bring a lot of different emotional upheavals and changes that go on. And so it's important to take a look at that. And there are three stages to transition.
Hmm.
The first stage is endings. And endings are hard for us. It's as though we have to let go. We have to release the old. It may be because we're grieving somebody's a loss of a job or the death of someone. And it's about really being able to, like I said, let go of the past, release it, feel that even though you're moving on and you don't know where, it's about making peace with that a little bit. And it's always very hard for people. Yet it's important to be able to do that. The next stage is interesting because it's kind of the neutral stage. You can't go back. You're not sure where you're going. You don't know what the direction is. It's kind of like a walk in the wilderness. You're walking, but
Hmm.
where am I? Like, what am I going to do? This is a time, I believe, Steve, for self-reflection. Look at what's come before. Pull from that, like your resources, your connections to people, your talents, associations, beautiful memories, so that you can hold on to that, but also be in a place of really working with yourself, looking at yourself deeply. And people have trouble with that. And you and I have talked about that before, right? It's not always easy to look inside and search and find that. But it's really important as we move forward into new beginnings. That's the third stage. That's when, okay, here I am. And it's about like, okay, what does that mean? It's about really re-identifying who you are, taking a look at, especially if it's a new job, looking at the skills from the past, what's worked for you, what you're bringing into the new job, a new life, whatever that is. And it's really important to
Hmm.
feel good about it. By the way, you and I have talked about gratitude a lot. In each and every stage, I believe
Hmm.
gratitude is essential
Yeah.
for what you've had, for where you are, even if you're not sure in that in-between stage, and for what you're moving into now. Okay, I'll shut up for a minute.
I got you on all of that. And we don't realize the impact that gratitude can have. Side note, I keep a journal. Gratitude. Forgot to write in it today. Was in a rush. Feel guilty. But
You
all
can
good.
do that. Some people do it at the end of the day, some people
Sure.
at the
Yep.
beginning. So you
Yep.
still have time.
I still have time. Um, Great points you bring up, Joanne, and I can relate to them in my journey of realization. So, yes, looking at the past can paralyze you for the transition, but looking at the opportunity of the new beginning, stage three, can be exciting.
And scary at the same time and
Yes.
overwhelming, but it's beautiful. I remember I was an executive producer for this comprehensive children and youth program with clinical, educational, residential, and community. And I opted to move into a new way of taking care of my business for myself and leaving. That was scary and exciting because what happens if it fails? What happens if I'm lost in that? What happens if I can't support myself? And look what I'm leaving behind. That you've mentioned that before, a sense of security and comfort and but life is about change, as you said, and we have to be able to accept that. So I
Mm.
look back now and I'm glad I'm where I am today. I am very grateful for the opportunities and what I did in helping children and youth with special needs and working with professionals and helping move the programs forward. But it's a new adventure. How do you embrace a new adventure? You can be fearful, you can be excited, you can not know what's going on. It's important to kind of map it out a little bit, even though you're not sure, because you can always change that a little bit, but have a sense of your direction.
Hmm. Is that even a product of manifestation in a way where you don't know, you have a direction or you have a goal, but then you don't know how to get there? And it's been said within manifesting, don't worry about how to get there. Just focus on the goal and the rest will fall into place along the way.
Yes. And you know what? I always talk about using visualization. So it's about what do you want? Even when you're in that in between neutral state, where do you want to go? What are your talents? What are your passions, your aspirations? And again, it's not only in a job, it could be in
Sure.
relationships, it can be in where you want to live, whatever it is. What are your talents? And focus not on what you've left behind because that doesn't help. But yes, I believe
Hmm.
like when you want to move forward, it's about focusing on the opportunities, focusing on what lies ahead. And if you visualize it, visualization, I use it a lot in working and coaching and counseling. Visualize what you want. Visualize yourself as already there with the excitement, with the feeling of gratitude, with hey, I've arrived. Even if you're not there yet, and people have trouble with that. Well, how can I do that? Because what it does is it really works with the subconscious mind, which helps you get to where you need to be.
So that being said, vision boards, fan or not?
I've used them, and yes, it works with a lot of people. So yeah, that's important because it outlines what you want, and it gives you, and there he goes with his vision. I love it. Yeah, you see, you're putting it into perspective. You're showing what you want and oftentimes writing down things can also, that's why the journals are important too, can
Mm.
make it more real. What's,
So
go ahead.
I want to share, I've heard of vision boards for the last number of years. And it's like, yeah, I got to it. Yeah, I got to it. It was back in August. I was on a train and I started finding pictures of the things I feel I need and want. Stop me if I share this with you. I waited. I never did a vision board. Did it like a week ago. Did one, put it up on the wall. I am glued to it. There's something magnetically, energetically, weirdly alluring to it. I'm like every time I look, I'm like, oh, it's not just a quick glance. Like, yep, yeah, that over there. Well, I
It,
deserve
pu-
that. I want that.
it pulls you into where you want to be.
So cool.
And looking at it, the visual aspect, whether it's a vision board or seeing it in your mind,
Yeah.
It really is very profound and helps your inner mind, your subconscious mind, look and know what you want, because our subconscious mind likes to give it to us.
Hmm.
If we give it the right information and not, oh, what's wrong with me? I can't do anything, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, vision boards work beautifully. I have a lot from the past. And now I'm in a new direction with what I'm doing, and
Yep,
it's
yep. Final thought on the vision board. And it only came up because you said have a vision, and that sparked it in me at that moment. I am seeing. I put everything on one. I was like, man, throw it all in there on one board. And now I'm seeing probably should make it three separate ones. One personal, professional, whatever the other one is. Everybody's different.
relationships or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm seeing I should do it that way because there's a lot going on when you look. Uh, your thoughts?
Yeah, and prioritize a little bit too, because there is a lot going on. We want so much stuff, but what are the most important areas in your life that you really want to address, and what do you want from them, so that you're not confusing yourself and moving in so many different directions. Get clarity, and that's important. That doesn't mean that you can't change up. It doesn't mean that you can't add things or move forward once you receive what that was that you put on the vision board or framed in your mind.
Yep.
But it's important to have that sense of direction and a sense of self-alignment. We don't talk a lot about that, but that's real. It's again, it's like, what am I taking within me, moving me forward? What are my strengths? Who am I? Who am I? I know who I was last time, whatever that meant, when the last job, the last relationship, the last home, the last midlife, whatever it was. Where now, who am I? What do I want? Where do I want to go? And what am I utilizing? What kind of support systems, not only external, friends, family, but also within myself, that helps propel me forward?
Do you think in the transition that it's extremely helpful to look deep into your past wins
Yes,
and how, oh, I got through that. Oh, well, that was pretty challenging, but you know what? It worked out actually really well for me. Looking back at those things.
I think it's essential because it
Mm.
helps build the confidence that you need for moving forward. And also, you need to know, and that can be part of, work, keeping a journal. What did I do? How did I overcome that particular challenge? Wow, that was really hard. And yet, look what I did. Oftentimes, and I do this a lot with people, we don't look at our wins.
Yes.
We look more often on, what did I do wrong? Where did I fail? And I have a background, like I said, in working with people with special needs and autism and neurodivergent, and oftentimes working with kids. It's about those little steps. Every little step leads you forward. Well, somebody could say, well, but it's only a little step, so I got to go all the way there. Yes, but you wouldn't be able to move forward without that first step, and that
Hmm.
second step, and that third step. So honor those little steps because they move you in the direction that you need to be. And it's so important to, like you said, look at our wins, because life is going to have, and challenges. And oftentimes we think, oh, I can't do it. This is too overwhelming. This is too much. But then as you look back and you say, wait a minute, I had that same feeling when there was a hurricane or when there was, whatever it was. And look where I am now, even though it was hard, even though I thought I'd never, ever make it, I did.
Yep.
And here I am.
Have you ever done this? Look back at 6 months of your life, where you were and where you are. Could be a year. And you say to yourself, wow, a lot took place in that time. I didn't realize that. Like I even look back a year, like what I was doing, what was going on, like, wow, wow, a lot took place. So taking stock in those steps that got you to where you are now.
And it's really important. And it, like I said, it gives you more confidence, more
Yes,
belief in yourself. And you know what's also important? We need to believe in ourselves. Oftentimes, I work with people who don't have that self-belief, and it really makes a difference in tackling challenges, in moving us forward, in
100%.
transitioning, in change, and we need that. And so, why don't we believe in our, and that we can use that as a whole other topic, but it's important to really take a look, as you said, at the wins, and that can add to and increase our belief in ourselves and feeling good about who we are, despite our imperfections, despite our mistakes. And we all make mistakes. I mean, I'm not going to
Sure,
list them mistakes over, but I've made mistakes. Even in relationships, I've
for
made
sure,
mistakes.
for sure. Well, hey, it takes two, so it's not just you. I'm gonna cut you some slack there.
Thank
Um,
you.
it takes two. Um, do you think fundamentally it really comes back to the core of being connected to yourself and it's a cliche, but it's the truth. Loving yourself, like really getting to that point where you're a good person. You can pull things off. You got this. And then once you master that, this whole transition thing isn't so hard anymore.
Right, but that's a hard question for a lot of people. Why can't I love myself?
Of
Why
course.
don't I love myself? What have I done or what have I not done to love myself? Where am I now? And you know what? Again, in spite of what we haven't done, in spite of what we've done, that the mistakes, love yourself for who you are, the essence of who you are, which is really important because again, I believe we're constantly growing and evolving into the new aspects of ourselves. But if you don't have that self-love, you're kind of lost. It's like, well, what's worthwhile? Like, how do
Mm,
I move forward? Because like, who am I? What am I doing? What am I good at? What's the point? What's the use? I mean, I've
truth.
heard all those questions
Yeah.
and they're hard and they're also disheartening because they make us feel so powerless and less than. And my response to that is, well, would you love yourself even a little bit more than you did yesterday or last week or the year before or whatever? You give yourself more self-worth and more of a promise of, okay, well, maybe I can do that. Maybe because I do have a little bit of faith and belief and love in myself, I can cross that challenge or that bridge or whatever. And I think that makes all the difference in the world.
I guess if we look at it in terms of if you have a coach, what's the coach doing? And think of it in terms of sports, whatever. They're guiding you, but they're also saying that was great. Yeah, go back in there and do that again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're pushing you. It could be somebody in a relationship that says some positive things to you. Yeah, you're really good at that. You did a great job on that.
But we need that for ourselves. We need
That's
to
where I was
have
going with
that.
that.
Right. I know. We need to, and I always tell people, and when I work with people and work deeply, it's about having that support, that internal support system that says, yeah, do it. Come on, go on. The cheerleader within us.
Yeah.
The one that says, okay, you can do it, that no matter what, do it. That helps us feel confident to take that step despite how scary it is or confusing or whatever. And we need that. We also, I believe we need coaches. I've had a coach years ago that helped me get to where I am. And I think
Hmm.
that sometimes that helps us even create and access our internal coach, our internal cheerleader that says, go team, right?
Yep. Yeah. Totally. And maybe you can walk that journey solo with the help of maybe some friends and family. to get to that sweet spot where you're good with yourself, you feel the love for yourself, you feel the encouragement, but it's a whole lot quicker when you deal with a coach. It just is.
Right. And also, when you're going through transition, it's important to have that support system, not only a coach, but friends and family and people that believe in you and people that say, yeah, you're going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You have X, Y, and Z. You have this, and you have us. We're here for you. And that's beautiful to make sure that you reach out to the people that really care and really see your worth and value who you are, not the people that say, "Yeah, I knew you were going to fail." I mean,
When we talk about the inner coach, um, and that cheerleader that's saying, yeah, you got this, do this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There are those moments where you may hear that doesn't support you. That's not a great idea. So it's almost as if the coach, the inner coach, is saying, uh, "Is that your intuition?"
well, several things can be happening. Okay. We also have an inner critic that can tell us you can't do this, you can't do that, or whatever. So you have to be able to differentiate. Okay. And the inner coach, if we really be able to listen to it and follow it and understand the difference between that and our critic, and it can be our intuition. I rely so much on my inner guidance, and it gives me more direction sometimes that any external sources. I also teach a lot about how you can access your intuition and your inner guidance because once we have that, it's beautiful. I'll tell you a story real quick. I don't know
Sure.
how much time we have.
Got
Okay.
got about a minute.
Okay. So years ago, I was home and it was late at night, and my inner guidance said, "You have to go to the store." And I'm thinking, it's late. I don't need anything, but I followed it. So I went to the store, I walked around and bought something. I'm driving home and it's a four-lane road. And in the middle, if I were to go forward, there was a dog that was lying in the road. Okay. If I were to go forward, I would have run over the dog that had already been run over. So I, like a mad person, I honked my horn, crazy. Who's going to do anything with some crazy lady? And I stopped my car in the middle of the road. I got out. I started to do some energy work on the dog. Somebody else came with a blanket. Somebody else came, said I was going to do something, but I didn't want to. A policeman came and said, "Did you run over the dog?" I said, "No." He started directing traffic. We were able to save the dog.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that's why I went out.
Interesting. Do you think that that guided you? You didn't even know that that was there, but maybe your intuition was saying, yeah, you need to be in your car. You're going to go and you're going to wind up there. And,
Yeah.
through your energy experience and just everything involved, this was going to
Well, the
happen.
other people that came to support it too.
Right. Right place, right time. Wow. Um, Always great talking with you. Like your insight, your stories, just like you're super grounded. It's like really,
Wasn't always.
yeah, well, same here. What's the best way for somebody to find you if they're contemplating or going through transition or just need some coaching, just looking to change things up?
Okay, I have a website, drjoannewhite.com. You can email me, Joanne at drjoannewhite.com on social media. And I love helping people. I feel that that's my mission in life. Well, also animals too, but
Yeah, right.
but it's important. I feel that I'm here to serve.
I know you are.
Thank you.
It shows. And there's a reason that you've been doing this for years and have studied and even, with the More Heaven story from decades ago, it's evident. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. You are a delight.
Oh, you are. Yeah. And
Thank
got to work on my vision board. But you made it clear though. You reaffirmed that there's too much going on for the brain, the subconscious to process it. And I feel it. Like I'm overwhelmed with excitement looking at it. And I feel that that's not going to be supportive of the goal. So I need to, change that up. And you made
And
that clear for
hone
me.
and hone in on what you want.
And the priority too. We can
Yeah,
throw a bunch of things up on the wall, but some are more important than the other. All right.
exactly.
We'll talk next week. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.